Random question, but when and how did you get interested in politics and leftism? Um, Honestly, good question. I would say that I have always had kind of a natural bend towards anti-authoritarianism, towards fundamental human rights. Um, and honestly, I got some of that from my Christian upbringing, right? Like a lot of like the teachings of Jesus like resonated with me, and it was a lot of the other stuff that did not resonate with me. You know, it a lot of it just the more I pulled on different questions I had, the more it all unraveled, right? And
Fun biology fact: a bone in your ear used to be a big skull bone when we were mammal reptile guys.
oh, that is fun. I like learning stuff like that. Thank you, Irascended Kitten. And so, like, you're a fucking weirdo? Of course I am. That's what makes me wonderful. But, so I grew up with that, and as I got older, I saw more and more injustice in the world, and I couldn't stop being angry about it and wanting to fix it. And then I would look into these issues, and it would turn out that there are legislative or policy fixes for so many of the different systemic inequalities and systemic cruelties that we see on a daily basis. But our powers that be do not, in fact, pursue those policies because they are motivated by something else. And that motivating factor is, at the end of the day, money. And so I wound up just by noticing these different things and wanting to, like, you know, originally driven by, like, you know, the simple directives of, like, feed the hungry, house the homeless, like, you know, simple directives given to the folks listening to Christ, and like looking around and saying, like, no, I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense to me if, like, simply we are directed to, like, feed the hungry and house the homeless, but then we live in a representational democracy and we aren't putting those policies into practice. That seems that's insane. That, like, no, obviously some degree of, like, overlap needs to exist. And then, like, obviously as I continued to question my faith, like, the faith like my faith waned over time, or evolved over time perhaps. But, like, that then led me to, you know, oh wait, yeah, women are people who deserve all of the same rights as men. Hey, wait a minute, it is bullshit that women are paid less than men. Hey, wait a minute, it is bullshit that, like, you know, within my parents' lifetimes, like, the people were trying to say that if you wore pants as a woman, you were, like, illegally cross-dressing. Like, actually, yeah, wait a minute, this is bullshit, because a lot of these norms that are bullshit have been perpetuated by law and, like, codified in our systems. And actually, in order to make things right and make things better, we have to be politically active. And how that then all kind of came together, and I realized that, you know, capitalism itself is
Have you seen that
exploitative.
TikTok trend of the churches that refuse to give a starving baby formula versus the ones that do?
I have seen that. Yeah, it's, I mean, unsurprising, I guess. But thank you for the $5 dono, Nathan. But, like, basically, I developed all of these, and I think probably, you know, writing about video games and art in general, and learning different ways to view art and view culture, and learning about the ways different cultures around the world view different things. Having that more expanded worldview and that intellectual curiosity allowed me to learn and grow and develop different ways of viewing the world. And one of the things I learned in college was about, you know, ways to look at art through a colonialist lens, or a decolonial lens, through a feminist lens, through a Marxist lens. And, like, I learned, you know, in order to learn how to do that, you have to learn the basic fundamentals of like those different ideologies and movements. And when I wound up reading about Marx, I realized, oh wait, actually this guy just wanted more democracy. And actually you can achieve what he's talking about here with democratic worker co-ops. Wait, there are democratic worker co-ops in the United States right now. So like we could actually do this if we had the political will to like help foster more environments like this until that is the predominant mode of production in this country. I read about feminism and I learned that feminism wasn't just like old severe looking ladies who didn't like fun, you know, and who were like, like it is in fact more complicated, and that feminism is actually for everybody, not just for women. It's for men too, because men are also oppressed under the patriarchy, right? And I learned about decolonialism because, yeah, we still have colonies around the world, and that is still exploitative, and it is necessary to decolonize our world, our culture, because it is a fundamentally exploitative and destructive relationship to be in with another group of people. And so, like, it just winds up being kind of like, I learned more about the world, and in learning about the world, my sense of justice never wavered, but instead evolved. And I saw that the problems I was seeing were not specific to any one street corner, any one city, but instead systemic problems that exist all across this country and need to be addressed by a mass awareness of the problem and a mass awareness of the solution. And the mass awareness of the solution is, of course, building up the political power to do things like get Medicare for all, you know, to decommodify housing, to like be able to create municipal food banks that exist in every corner of this country so that no child or family ever need go hungry again. Like, there's no excuse for any of us to be going hungry in the richest country to ever exist. There's no excuse for anyone to be like without a home in a country like this. And that's like pretty obvious to me, that allowing people in our society to become trillionaires or billionaires, that's a choice that we all collectively make to allow that, rather than a different choice that we could collectively make, which is to not allow that and to instead fix the problems that affect the least of these. And so that's kind of my ethos, and like it obviously has evolved over time. But I got more involved in talking about politics probably back in 2019 or so. I started in 2019, but you know, 2020 is kind of when I got more into it. And I had been writing about politics in art for a while. Like a lot of my essays or reviews about video games included like kind of political breakdowns of the political messaging in the different pieces of art. I wrote a very long article about how Shadow of the Colossus is a trans narrative. That's actually a very deeply personal essay to me. But I became more expressly like oriented towards talking about the news and breaking down political narratives around the time the pandemic started, because I lost my ability to make a living as a game journalist, because I was an independent contractor, and one day they just didn't renew my contract, and I never heard from them again, never got an explanation, but, you know, is what it is. And so I started streaming games online and talking about politics, and it turns out people did not care as much for the games, did care a lot about the politics. So I decided to start trying to leverage this platform into getting people engaged in not just knowing what the correct thing is or having good politics, because the time for just like having good politics is done. think what where we're at right now is what you know to be true is relatively irrelevant. You need to actually do your politics. You need to actually like organize around those politics. If you know the right thing to do, you need to be putting that into action and organizing towards that goal in your communities. That's kind of what I try to push you guys to do. And I know sometimes I'm very pushy about it. But I think that people can do that by like getting involved locally. Go to your city council meetings, join your local Dems and radicalize them if they suck. You know, take the party away from the corporatist, you know, status quo liberals and instead radicalize those folks or, you know, push them out in order to make a more progressive space. And on top of that, like, join your local DSA. If your local DSA is full of like LARPers who are talking about like the tanky revolution, make your DSA more effective than just LARPing and sitting around doing a circle jerk. Make it more effective. Work towards that end. Okay? Like, it's not... It just takes effort. It takes effort. It takes work. And, like, I think we can do it. I think that workers know how to work. And I think we can do it. So, join your local Dems, radicalize them, join your local DSA, make them more effective, pair them up, and let's take the Democratic Party by storm and make things better in our cities and our states and our country. We got this. And I think we can do it.
Part of the reason I got into your streams is because more than just talking about politics, you get people engaged. To gonks for pushing me to get involved.
I do my best. And I do want to emphasize, folks, there are people in this community who have joined DSA. If you need help joining DSA or the Dems, get into our Discord, use !Discord, and then you can reach out to Gamergy for help joining your local DSA, reach out to Dragonfly for help joining your local Dems, get more involved. And if you don't want to get involved with either of those two organizations, get involved with a different one, your local library, your soup kitchen, you know, like, but be organizing towards building power so that we can undo the systemic issues that are plaguing our society. That's what we need to do. And I hope you'll join me in trying to be a part of that solution. God, I look so tired. I joined DSA on Sunday night. Intro video call-in on the 19th. Hell yeah, Amber Brains. Love that. Let's go! Socialism is democracy taken seriously. True, Xenomonic. Hell yeah. You make tired look good? Thank you.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, being flame more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.